over there, and I said, you do that one more time and you will feel the pain. And because they knew I was in pain. And so then they called up the and they're right there, and they said, get the phone immediately. They looked at the results, they get the phone. They said, who's ever an X-ray, clear them out of X-ray immediately. I don't care if they're in the middle of an MRI, they're out of there. Get them out now. And they took me back to X-ray, and they put me in this ginormous ultrasound machine. And they come back, and I thought there's all doctors, but it all wasn't. There's 4 or 5 counselors and about 5 or 6 student doctors that are full-fledged doctors. They're just finishing up their last week of residency or whatever they do before they get get their own shingle and room and all that stuff. And then he comes in there and said, DW, we don't know how to tell you this. We're going to tell you just like it is. They said, right now, this very moment, you are massively fighting for your life. And they said, you have an advanced case of necrotizing fasciitis soft tissue. And they said, based on our experience, I don't know how to tell you this either, you will not be here in a day and a half. You need to get your affairs in order. Use whatever phones you need to use, bore mine, anybody, doesn't matter, call whoever you need to call. And he said, this is about as bad as it gets. And I just looked at him and I went, okay. And then he goes, do you understand what I'm saying? He goes, because they all thought it was going to fall apart. Trust me, I was tempted, because right there at that moment, that exact second, I had 2 choices. I could fall and look at all the drama and the storm that was raging and the death that was crawling up on that gurney that wanted to choke me out and take me out. I could listen to that. Or I could look at the sea walker that was coming towards me. I could look at the Lord that was just walking in. And he did. And I said I could look for the peace, or I could follow the drama. And I chose to look at the peace. And as soon as I had that vision of the Lord just coming right at me just like that, and immediately, and he said, he repeated a couple of things. And I looked at him and I said, Doc, we talked about have a day and a half left. And I said, well, who made that decision? And they all just smiled and looked at me, and some of them, had your look, and all that. Dwayne's heard this story one other time. And I said, who made that decision? He said, well, you just really don't know what you got your hands on, do you? And I said, probably not, but I know you don't know what you got your hands on. And and so that's kind of a little bit of the deal. And so they left for just a little bit. So I got a hold of the kids and told them, and then they Miss Helen landed, and they told them, one of them called back and said, Dad, Helen's starting to freak out a little bit. And I said, tell her 2 things. Tell her no drama and be with. Okay? And that's just little code words for us. And from that moment, she moved into total faith, total complete peace. Everyone in the family didn't panic, didn't buy into all that, just like, oh, Dad's dying now, that kind of thing. It's just, and I didn't take ownership that I have. And I took the doctor, I said, okay, I'm challenged with this, I'm not taking ownership of it. He said, well, we want to do a surgery. And I said, okay. And I said, I'll let you do a surgery, but you got to come into an agreement with me before you do a surgery. And he said, what's that? And I said, I want you to do everything you can in the natural to attack that with a vengeance. Take all your wisdom, your knowledge, your experience, and attack it. And I said, I'm going to get a hold of God and believe Him to do what He can in the supernatural. And I said, then I'm going to get out of your way, and I'm going to get out of God's way, and I'm going to visualize, see, think, pray, believe that this thing is done, extracted, and dealt with, period. And he goes, you don't have a clue what you got your hands on yet. And everyone there smiled. I said, and I know you don't have a clue what you got your hands on either. Just like that, because I was not feeling like I was dying. Does that make sense? I was in pain. And so I said, okay, we're going to go over this one more time, Doc. And now everyone just busted out laughing when I said that. Will you, yes or no, come into an agreement with me that you will attack this with a vengeance? You do everything you can in the natural, all your talent and ability and what you got to attack. I said, I'm not even asking you to do the God thing. I'll take care of that. You just do what you do and you go at it. I'm going to get a hold of God and believe Him to do what He can in the supernatural. I said, will you, yes or no? And he walked up and he goes, I wish all my patients were like you. And he reached out and he grabbed my hand. And he said, yes, I will. And we had an agreement. And they took me back to surgery. And guys, I like for never woke up. It took me forever to wake up. It was a slow going. And came to, and I'm back in the room. I think, Joe, if I remember correctly, Miss Helen had flown back. She got a return flight for $186. That's just a God thing right there, because they whack you $900 on those deals. They love that. Oh, emergency? Woo! We'll give you our family emergency rate, $900. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, you can make payments. Okay, so she gets there, and I believe Katie was there as well, and kind of coming to and going through some stuff, and Doc walks in, and a little bit before he walked in, I heard two doctors arguing about, well, I want to do surgery on the faith guy. Well, no, I'm going to do the surgery on the faith guy. Okay? And they were fussing about it. And I heard one say something about a wound vac. Just the word wound vac. We can get a wound vac installed at some point. We're going to be able to maybe possibly help this guy. And Doc walked in. He goes, you know what? That first surgery, he goes, it actually did. It went pretty good. He said, but we're going to take you back in and do another surgery. And I said, whoa, time out. So what do you mean another surgery? He said, still don't really know what's going on, do you? And I said, obviously not. If you're talking about, he goes, we got surgery scheduled Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, until you're either dead, or we got this thing cut out of you. And I went, And I thought, just sat there, silence for a minute. I said, okay, here's what we're going to do then. Because here's the thing about docs, I love every one of them. I'm hiring him. The $67,000 bill that came in for that, all that stuff, is I'm the one paying it, so he's getting hired to do a job, correct?
Right.
Just like someone digging a fence hole for me. I mean, I'm hiring him. So that's the way I approach all docs. It drives them nuts, because they want to like not do that, but you know, you're paying them for service. And I go, okay, here's what we're going to do. You're going to do one more surgery, and when that surgery's done, I said, you're going to wheel me out past this intensive care unit, and you're going to put me in a normal room, and during surgery sometime, you're going to install a wound vac. He goes, you really don't have a clue what you got your hands on. He goes, people that, if they do survive what you're going through right now, they're going to be body parts all over the floor. And I said, okay, let's go over the skin. I said, and there's several doctors standing there right now. I said, you went to school for 1 jillion hours. You paid $1 jillion. Your head was bouncing off the book in the middle of the night so you could learn things. And I said, so you could be right here, right now, in this moment, attacking this. And I said, I want you to do everything you can. And all of you put every bit of ounce of knowledge and wisdom and everything you got, and you're going to get one more shot to attack this thing one more time. And I said, and again, I'm getting hold of God to see what he's going to do in the supernatural. And I'm going to get out of your way and get out of God's way. He walked over and shook my hand. He goes, okay, I'm in agreement with you. Just like that. I mean, Harry knew. At that time, there was just no messing with that. Took me back. On this second surgery, they pulled me into the waiting room, or the wake-up room, recovery room, whatever it is. And boom, like that, I wake up. Just whoosh, up out of the bed. And during this time frame, somewhere towards the end of it, had all kinds of like visions and dreams about acceleration. And things happening in a short period of time. I mean, you put this thing together in like 6 days, come on. And so just a lot of stuff came to me about acceleration, a lot of stuff. And things we'll write about later, but just so scared the nurses. The one nurse screamed, ah! Because I woke up just before, really what? Slow. And so usually what you do, you continue to do in that particular arena. And so this time, boom, up. And so they grabbed me, finally, and they wheeled me up, and they wheeled me right past intensive care. They wheeled me right into a normal room. Miss Helen and Katie was already there just waiting on me. And I got in the room, and I'm kind of, I push the button, the bed kind of comes up, and I'm just sitting there processing everything. And all of a sudden, at the end of the bed, I see just a little, remember I got bit by a bug, so this is kind of freaky fun. And all of a sudden, I see just a little dinky little, like a beetle bug, just go zoom across the end of my bed, just like that. And I just kind of do that. And I remember Miss Helen looked at me like, what's wrong, babe? And I didn't say a word. And just a little bit later, another bug went like that. So I said, that's it. So buzzed the button, nurse. I said, I think there's a bug at the end of my bed going like that. She goes, oh no. He goes, well, he's in surgery. They put a wound vac in. And I said, okay, now, would you just mind telling me what is a wound vac? Okay, I was having faith for one, but didn't know what it was. You don't have to know what it is to have faith for what needs to happen next. Does that make sense? See, we get hung up on mechanism. What's the mechanism? How's it going to happen? What are we going to do? What's the procedure? No, you just need to walk in faith and just let the peacemaker take care of all the details, all right? And so the wound vac was, they had this big, huge wound, and Sue, you seen it, didn't you, on an email? Did I ever email it to you? Does stuff like that gross you out, or could you handle seeing a big, huge open wound in somebody? Just checking. She's not even military. Tim has seen it, I believe, haven't you?
Yeah.
And so it's like taking a big, huge bag, those big, huge Ziploc bags, like 1.5 of those, and just stuffing it full of stuff. That's how big the wound was. In here, down up under there, and another big, huge spot up here, which the numbness is just now. They said they said the numbness would not come back here, and I went, well, again, anytime they said something like that, I go, well, who made that decision? Just like that, like, it's really not your decision. And, well, the numbness is not there anymore, and that's just been the last couple months, so it's like, woohoo, it took a while. Yeah, that is praise God thing. So what happens is, in fact, they take this foam rubber and they jam it down into that wound. Ouch. And then, ouch is right, they jam it down in that wound and fill it up. And then they take the best, I mean, you talk about Chuck, you talk about some packing tape. They take the most awesome packing tape I've ever seen in my entire life, and they put it over the wound. Then they stick a hose in there that has 5 little sensors on it and a little dinky hole in the packing tape. And then they tape around it, and then they turn this little machine on that goes, and it sucks until your leg. Have you ever seen those commercials where you put all your, you put this much hose in a bag and it's down like that? Right? That's what they're doing to the leg. Same principle, but it dries out the inside of the wound and completely dries it out. Takes all drainage, all blood, all residual anything, and sucks it out of there. So what was going through that tube was a little bit of residual drainage going. It wasn't a bug at all. All right. And we had doctor after doctor after doctor after doctor come in and see the guy that had the miracle. We got a witness to people. I had a crew of guys that came over from Australia, and they were there, and they came in to pray for me, and God gave me some prophetic words for each and every one of them, so they never did say nothing to me. It was about them. And this whole thing's never been about me. It's been about what God's not looking for who's worthy, because he's not going to find that person, because we're all just horrible, when it comes right down to it. He's looking for who's willing, And I figured that he had faith in me, till I'd get through that, so I'm going to have faith in him. Does that kind of make sense? He's the one that started the faith thing. I just responded in like manner. And so I'm getting ready to leave. Hospital thing is completely over. I'm getting ready to go. And the main head doctor comes in for the second, maybe third time, and he spends 2 or 3 hours, and we're talking about life and philosophies, and we're talking about God and the Lord, and he's just really inquisitive. And he goes, well, there's 2 things I can tell you that happened. He said, number 1, he said, that God you've been talking about, he goes, he showed up. Now the truth is he was already there, but for his understanding, he showed up, all right? And he said, number 2, he goes, those products you've been telling us about, he said, we can see what's in everyone's blood with what you went through. He goes, we monitor your blood every hour to every 30 minutes. We'd be pulling blood samples and understanding what's going on with your blood, so if there's any bacteria, any infection, anything. He said, we can monitor blood. He goes, those products you're talking about, he goes, they put a barrier and a shield, body shield, a shield around that bacteria and that infection, just long enough for us to come in there and cut it out.
Wow.
And I went, whew, what if I would have stayed in resistance and said, nah, Laura, I love you, you're my buddy, but just go on this Sisel journey by yourself. What if I wouldn't responded and answered? What if? I wouldn't have kissed and held my little grandbaby up 4 days ago or a week ago and lifted him up to God and said, Lord, he's yours. He's on loan to us, and we commit him into your hands. We don't wait for the church to do their deal. We just do it right there on the spot. The rest of it's just supplemental. What if? What if, Wayne, I would have said, nah, not me. And but I met Tom Maurer, and he's a difference maker. He cares. Yeah, I don't know how to explain it to you. He's a difference maker. And I said yes, and we got on the products, and we operated in faith. So there's a lot of components that happened in there. And we had some of the best buddies on the planet, like Joe and Barbie King. That was down the road, 150 miles, something like that? 100 miles down the road. We had Mary Ann Stolfus and Binyol, another set of our buddies in Lancaster. And I was at Hershey Medical Center. And it wasn't the closest hospital, but I pushed a button thinking it was the closest hospital on the little gizmo in the car. And I chose that hospital, not even knowing that it said Hershey's. I told the head doctor 2 things. I said, you need to change the name of your hospital. You guys are frauds. I said, I didn't get 1 Hershey Kiss. I didn't get 1 candy bar. I didn't get nothing. I said, what is wrong with you people? Yeah, it's just not there anymore. Yeah, it's gone. Yeah.
Puerto Rico.
Yeah, there's some truth to that. He's right. And so, and I asked him, I said, well, I got faith in what God did and all that. And I said, but, You guys are a little different ballgame. Not sure I have faith in all you guys quite yet. Talking to the doc. And he's just grinning about it. I said, are you sure you got it all? He goes, well, let me tell you like this. He goes, do you still have your leg? And he goes, yeah, I still got my leg. And he goes, what you had was so bad, it could eat through your entire leg and drop it down to nothing in less than an hour. He said, when they told you you had a day and a half to live, he said, if you did survive, he said, every part you can imagine was going to be replaced and be reconstructed if we could even do it. Legs, they already planned a reconstructive service for the back end, the back, and all this stuff. And he goes, the thing that did kind of confuse us. He said your white blood count was absolutely perfect. We couldn't have got it that perfect if we tried with medication. He said number two, because we're doing a lot of stuff that builds your what? Immune system. All right. And taking the influence, which I was only told take influence during the flu, and I was attracted to influence. My body craved it all year long. And we're driving down the road. Tom says, well, it's an immune builder like crazy. And I said, well, Tom, does it help with allergies? He goes, absolutely not. It won't help at all with allergies. And we spent 20 hours in my Beamer driving all over the country. And 2 hours later, he goes, DW, there's 3 things in there, or 2 things in there at least that's going to help you with allergies. No wonder your body wants it. And he goes, absolutely, that's perfect for allergies. And he goes, he forgot all the stuff that he went through, every little dinky thing that was in it, all the ingredients. And so, and the doctor and he walked out, and he stopped and he turned around. He goes, let me ask you something. He said, you have just turned the heads of everyone in this hospital for this whole week. He said, it just changed so much around here. He goes, let me ask you something. He goes, let me ask you a question. He looked at me, he goes, do you care? And I said, you better believe I absolutely 100% care. He goes, I knew it. He goes, I ask that question to almost every single person, and the first thing out of their mouth, they go, about what? He goes, you're either a person who cares or doesn't care. If you're worried about what, he goes, you probably don't really care. You're going to be a conditional care type person. And what I love about, Tim and Audrey, what I love about Dennis and Sue and some of the team that I'm meeting here, you guys care. You care.
Amen.
Laura Baccini cared. Anthony and Dominique and Liana and Lisa, the kids, they care. They care. And this is why I'm here. Do I want to be with my grandbaby right this moment? Actually, the truth is, I really would love to be hanging out there right now. And because next week we went a trip with Sisel, and they're all expenses paid. Have you heard of the Princess Palace in Acapulco? Well, there's another one that's even nicer. It's called the Moon Palace. They're sending us there for a week, and we got to go, not answer our phones, hang out, and be gone for a few days there, because Tom Maurer cares, and it's a big deal. But we care. If I need to come back here once a month, help you guys, go to your area, do your region, it doesn't matter. I'm not worried about who's not here. I'm concerned about who is here, and that you get the message. The Maurer mission is this: we get toxins no longer are allowed to be put on the body, so we get them off the body and we get them out of the body. And we're on a mission to share that. Our mission is prayer and products, and we get to touch people and speak into people's lives all across the country, all across the, it's even going global now with us. And so it's a big deal. The coffee, Anthony, is there a way to say anything in coffee in 2 minutes?
We'll try our best.
2 minutes, big guy. Our coffee is a game changer. Tom uses the #1 coffee bean in the history of the world. Okay, it starts with that. Is that correct?
Yeah, I usually break it down into 3 things to
You
make
use
it
that
fast.
mic up there,
Make sure it's lit though.
the green light.
Press and hold the mute button until it turns green.
Technology, such a great. So there's 3 main reasons the 3 main things that I talk about when I'm talking about coffee. In Boston, I'm going to go really quick because I know it's getting late. But the first thing that I like to talk about is why we wanted to move into coffee. Daniel already told you about the products being the best that they could possibly be, but they can't be that unless this company is the best that it can possibly be, right? Everything has to be the best. So the reason that we wanted to move into coffee was because it was trending within the industry. The companies that were doing it were growing the fastest and growing quickly. It's the second most consumed beverage in the world after water. It's the second most traded commodity in the world after oil. It's a no-brainer to do coffee. Most people drink it Daniel doesn't. He's the exception to
Yeah,
that
it's
rule.
pretty much the truth, yeah.
But most people drink it, so that's why we wanted to move into it. He told you we use the best tasting bean in the world. It's known as the Panama Bouquet Geisha bean, Panama 1 bean for short. It's won an award 14 years in a row. The World Coffee Association rates, I don't know, they get a bunch of people, they sit around in a circle, and they taste coffee, but they've rated this bean the best tasting in the world 14 years in a row. At the time that we moved into coffee, it was 12 years, but so it's won the last 2 as well. We have a few different kinds. We have a black instant, a mocha instant, a latte instant. We have a weight loss coffee that Daniel told you a little bit about. We have the teas. We have a green tea as well. But the most important thing when it comes to the coffee, I skipped the steps part, it was going to take too long. The most important thing when it comes to the coffee is what we put into it. We use the best tasting bean in the world, and we add 4 healthy ingredients to it. One's known as Ganoderma. If anyone knows the industry at all, Ganoderma is a great product. It's a great ingredient mushroom that some of the other companies use. Antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, all these things. And Tom's like, oh yeah, we'll throw it in there. We're trying to compete with those other companies. We already have a better tasting coffee, but let's add their ingredient. But there's this other ingredient I found called Chaga. Chaga is another mushroom. It's 100 times more powerful than Ganoderma. So he put that in there as well. These 4 ingredients combined really, they hit like every aspect, every bodily function that you have, these really help them with. We use a white flowering herb, it's called bacopa. It's great for the brain, and a little green, almost looks like a clover, it's called go-to cola, great for the adrenal function and stuff like that. And the next most important thing is the process that we go through. If anyone here, you can go home, you can look it up when you get home, it's called Proposition 65. What it is in California, anything that is known to cause cancer has to be labeled to say so. If you go to a Starbucks in California, it will have a sign, Proposition 65. This product is known to cause cancer. It's not the coffee itself, it's the process that it goes through. That's not verbatim, but that's what it says. And basically what happens is these companies, they need to dry out the bean so they can grind it more easily. So they roast it at 400 degrees Fahrenheit. If you go to 450 degrees Fahrenheit, if you've ever cooked something in your own stove, at that temperature it's going to burn quickly. If something burns, anything, on your own stove at home, vegetables, steak, whatever, that brown on there is known as the black on there is known as acrylamide. Acrylamide is cancer causing, so that's why they have to label it with Proposition 65. We can't say we're a toxin-free company and we're going to give you all the best that you can get if we're selling you toxic coffee that's going to give you cancer. So Tom found a process. It's a roaster known as the Diedrich roaster. It uses infrared light to cook the bean at 250 degrees Fahrenheit, avoiding the acrylamide, keeping all that away. But we have that issue with, they needed to dry the bean out to grind it. So he looked up another process, the cryogenic grinder, brings it down to negative 100 degrees Fahrenheit so they can grind it up, keep the oils intact, which are actually the healthy part of coffee as well, and do that. If you want more information, I have a magazine that'll tell you a little bit about the ingredients, the process that we go through, and I can talk to you about it after this, but I did that really, really quick. So
That's awesome.
You can just set it down.
All right, so it's a deal. We also have another product that's kind of interesting, and it's called Fire and Ice Tea. And it's low glycemic, so if you want to learn to eat proper, keep your hormone insulin levels down, you want to learn to eat low glycemic. And so it is one of those things that diabetics love it. We've helped so many people get off pills, do all kinds of things. Their doctor takes them off of them based on the facts. Their levels go down. All right, thank you so much. I just can't wait to get to know everybody more. Joe King, you want to add something here before we close out?
I did call Mary Ann, and
Yeah.
she said you can actually look it up online and order it online, or you can go to Cosmos and get it. It's called Ceylon, Ceylon.
Yeah, that's it. The cinnamon that you put in your shake that's very healthy for you. Cinnamon's one of the things that helps lower blood sugars and stuff. And you can't lose weight if your blood sugars are high. It's not going to happen. So most people here again don't have a weight problem. They got an insulin problem. Guys, we love you, and double hugs from Miss Helen and I. So glad we got to be with you tonight. Sue, we turn it back to you. Thank you so much for letting me be a part of your life and your business. You are sweet. She gets double hugs. Didn't we say that?
Well, this has been a great night. Whew. Always something going on.
Green light.
Make sure it's
Green light. Thank you for coming out. I know some of you have to go, but we're going to hang around for a little bit. Some of you need to talk to DW, I'm sure. Get with the person that invited you tonight. And I learned something just a few weeks ago. 5% of your decision making is made consciously. 95% of your decision making is unconscious. How you've based your past, the mistakes you've made. Do I want to go again? Do I want to do this? I'm telling you what, America is going into these types of businesses more than ever before. Over 8,000 a day are coming into a home-based business alone just in America. Just think about it. People wanting to be home. I love working in my PJs. I love working in my sweats. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. So give it the person. I think you can see the opportunity. That we don't have to say a whole lot more than that. But we have testimonies in this room that we could have had tonight. And if you guys were willing to spend the night, we could do that. But some awesome Crohn's disease. Dell, is his cancer counts are coming down on his PSA. It's called, right? On that, just amazing.
So your numbers are coming down.
Amazing, amazing things that's happening just in our group in the last few months. So thank you for coming and stay around. And you got Joe here, and you got Anthony, and you got DW. Corner them and just wear them out. Stay around for a little bit if you can. God bless you, and thank you for coming.
And Sue, there's some refreshments over there.
Yes, finish up the food.
Oh, they're snackies.
They're snackies.
Yeah, I'll see you there if you want to talk. Oh, geez, I'll stay right here. Oh, geez.
Find out who has Crohn's.
Good job on the coffee.
Ask Sue.
Boy, good.